So let me ask what you got cooking now, as far as your covens go, or any projects. I know you write all the time and blog all the time. What uh, are looking at posting, or what directions are your covens taking? Any plans for the immediate future, like the next Sabbath, or for 2021 in general? What's the future looking like for you?
Right. Yeah. Uh, Obviously, we're playing a lot by ear at this time.
Yeah,
Because the things that change day by day and hour by hour in the world right now with the pandemic.
yeah,
But depending on how things go, we're still looking forward to being able to get together for summer activities if we're able to. Like, there's a lot, as you know, like every event, like all of 2020 was canceled. I
yeah.
don't know what's going to happen with 2021, but a lot of us really, at least here in the ones that are here in our local area, enjoy going to free spirit gathering in the summer.
Is
um,
that Where's that?
that is in Maryland.
Okay.
It's in Maryland. It is a wonderful outdoor pagan event, which is week long. It's actually one of the oldest operating in the country that's
Uh-huh.
still operating. Um, it started back in the 80s sometime, and hoping that opens back up this year. Obviously will depend on how things go this summer and the vaccine. Who
Yeah.
knows? Um, Hopefully, we'll be able to also do a couple um, grand covens that we like to do, where multiple covens get together for a
Uh-huh.
trip out to a lodge. And so, like, some of us love to get together. Some of like us like to get together and be able to either go for extended weekends or week-long events out, at a lodge and do some glamping. It's not
Yeah,
camping,
yeah.
it's glamping,
Yep.
uh, you know, with everything, but still having in a rural area that has access to a lot of nature. We had one that gala planned last year. It got canceled because of COVID,
Right.
of course, because you can't have people flying in from all over the place with the pandemic going on. But
Yep.
we had it planned in North Carolina, that we were going to go to, but obviously that was canceled. Hopefully, we get to do that again this year. That's usually later into the fall months. So I don't know, depending on where things go with that. That will be nice to be able to do again. I know we mentioned Casey earlier. He's writing some more things. He has some more material coming out
Awesome.
at a future date here. Um, Also, we've still been going through our archives of stuff. Uh,
Excellent.
Over the years, we have so much stuff, like things that have been passed down,
Yeah.
things that are very old and worn out, some things that we don't know what to do with. So some of the things we've been getting scanned and preserved,
Fantastic.
so that, in case anything would happen, there's at least a backup copy
Yeah.
from, you know, these old worn and yellowed notes in, script that need to be copied down and preserved.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Another line as well that came out, that's part like of our group, came from a lady. She was British by birth, but she was Sybil's last student,
Okay.
and her name was Christine Jones.
Uh-huh.
She moved to Florida and lived in one of Sybil's houses. And after Christine died in, I think it was 2000, either 2010 or 2011, some of the folks that she had trained joined back up with us
Oh,
after she
wow.
had passed. Um,
That's cool.
and she was one of Sybil's caretakers when she was passing.
Yeah.
and learned from her the last 5 years of her life. And
Wow.
she has an interesting story behind her as well, because she was one of the first people at the time that, after Sybil passed, she was dismissed from her job as a nurse at the hospital. And she was one of the first people to uh, bring a suit against her employer for discrimination as a Wiccan and win.
Oh, that's what she was fired for.
Yes.
Ah, geez.
Yeah. And she won. She was at the time period, she was on Larry King Live talking about it. You remember that old show back then?
I do. I do. It
And a
wasn't
number of
even before it was on TV. It was a phone-in show.
yes. Yeah. And that was back in the early 80s. And so that set
Wow.
up like very good legal precedents,
Yeah.
that if anybody is ever discriminated against on the basis of being a Wiccan, that they could go back to and look at. I don't know what case number it was. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
But that at least established a legal precedence
Wow.
time period. So that was truly remarkable. And after she passed, they wanted to join up, with us to be able to connect with, like, I guess you could say, extended family of sorts.
Yeah.
So they had joined up with us, and it's been also very valuable.
Oh,
And that's
that.
been more recent, because that was what, 2011 or 12.
Yeah.
And of course, after all the proper rituals and things were done, they were able to become part of, become part of like our overall family.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, so like, it's very similar to what we do, but Christine really liked to practice solitary. She considered herself more solitary.
Yeah.
So she had some different ways of doing things. So we almost kind of consider that as well, like a separate line of sorts.
Uh-huh.
Like, I
Well,
don't want to fold everything into one, because I think that could be very disrespectful. So like we try to honor the various lines where they came from,
yeah.
even though they're all connected, like, to the same people. Uh, you
Right.
know,
Well,
but honoring the
on
difference.
on that subject, kinda, if somebody or a group of somebodies were to buy the Sacred Pentagraph books, which are phenomenal, uh,
Yeah.
and work the system, and maybe work the system for a couple years, how would they relate to your group, your covens, your tradition? Would they be able to be folded in? Is there an equivalency? Uh, you know what I mean? How would
Yeah,
that work?
no, I know
People,
what you mean. I've had some other people ask this as well.
uh-huh.
Obviously, like, if they wanted to be connected, they'd have to be connected through initiation some way.
Okay.
That way, we'd at least know them.
Yeah.
Um, and have had contact with them.
Hmm.
Anybody can purchase the book and find it and be able to work the rituals, um, be able to try some things out.
Yeah.
Maybe folks that are in a different tradition or coven may want to read it for ideas as well on how
Yeah.
that they can improve like their own practices that they do. That's totally fine. That's totally great. But yeah, if they wanted to be connected, to us, I'm sure that something could be arranged over a period of time where they could be initiated and have that connection
Yeah.
through it. um, in Book of Lights, book 3, within the Sacred Pentagraph book, in book 3, there is, in the introduction section, it really describes what the intent was
Hmm.
when Sacred Pentagraph was going to be more public. And it actually was in 1976 when that message came down through the Mother Goddess to the Coven Oracle in a full moon ritual.
Oh, wow.
And so it's Circle of Star Meadow, which
Yeah.
was the Coven in Las Vegas that Tara Star and all them were part of there. In one of the full moon rituals in 1976, the goddess spoke through the Coven Oracle, which Oracle is one of the initiatory titles, is one of the higher degrees, like
Right.
kind of like above elder of a sense, that they're not leading the coven anymore, but they're serving as like an elder of sorts.
Yeah.
That oracle, she had a message and kind of asked them to bring look at the rituals, revise them, and bring them to the public light.
Mm-hmm.
And Tara Star in the book really sums it up. In essence, when he reprints what the oracle had said, where it said, "The world will know that God is both Father and Mother. A sterile masculine trinity cannot create a cosmos. And yet, my children, do not worship me as a goddess only. As goddess, I also need the potency of God. As God, I must have the form-giving love of goddess. For the new age dawns, bring forth your orders, rituals, and tenets, and revitalize them. Those who seek us as true God and Goddess will find the way. Blessed be and blessed be." And at that moment, that's when they decided that they would publish what would become Sacred Pentagraph. And the reason they chose that name for it was because Tara Star and some of the others envisioned that the material would be parsed out in 5 sacred books, penta being 5 and graph being word or book.
Yeah.
And it took a while from 1976 to 2015 when the first book was finally published by Left Hand Press.
Yeah.
That took quite a while, but it finally came to manifest.
Right.
And some of it was worked on over that period of time because there was a core of material at that time period that they were doing and using and that was developed. But some of the later pieces of the book were not developed until later, particularly book 4, Book of Esbat, with some of the different Esbats that Tara Star had written. Those were written at a much later time,
right,
than some of the previous pieces that were done. And so it took from 1976 to 2015 to publish that. There's been some people that have asked, they said, "I can't believe all this material is available for us to purchase."
Yeah.
And that related to a question that one of the members of the Coven had asked at one time that I had asked Tara Star, was, "Were you guys scared or nervous to publish?" That, and Tara Star had said, "No, not at all." Because they had received in Coven that message from the goddess to go ahead and take that out. It just took a long time for it to happen.
Well, and thank goodness it did. The left-hand press versions of the book are beautiful. Like it retains Tarot Star's drawings, which are awesome.
Yes.
And just, puts them in such a nice package, whether you get the paperbacks or the hardcover. And of course, I just looked on witchworld109.com and you can still get the downloadable, printable versions as well.
Yeah.
So, like, you can kind of collect them all. type of thing.
Yes. Yes, you totally can. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, they're still available. And just recently, just like this last month or so, Left Hand Press came out with that beautiful hardcover edition.
Yeah.
And I know, I think you said you got your copy, didn't
Oh,
you?
yes.
Yeah, you got yours. I was able to get mine as well, and it is beautiful. So it's fun being able to have the soft cover copies
Yeah.
and the hardcover copies as well. And I love it. Like when I was first learning Sacred Pentagraph, I it was before any of the material was either available online or in the book. And when I was first learning it, Tarot Star gave me his original book of lights that he and Charmaine had put together with input from Sybil
Right.
and Laura and all the folks. And he had given me those old copies to hand copy myself. And I hand copied the books out, and that's where we started like our path of learning.
Yeah.
From that, I was very sad to hand those books back because
Okay.
those were his original books, his
Yeah.
original altar books from Circle of the Star Meadow.
Yeah.
Um, I was sad to hand them back because they were beautiful. But I was able to hand scribe, my own copy of the original material that they were working with at the time. Some of it's different than what's in the books.
Sure.
It's different. But we started working with that material right away, hands on, and basically, boots on the ground, let's go.
Yeah.
And and that was just amazing to be able to do. And he really helped over the years to make that workable. The system, the way that we practice can be somewhat different than what the norm is in a lot of Wiccan spaces.
Sure.
And that's it's sometimes easier for like newer folks to learn than it
Uh-huh.
is for somebody who's been learning for years and years and years,
Right.
because it is a different philosophy. Ritual structure is quite different.
Hmm.
But it can be done. It can definitely be done, but it definitely is unique. Like Horsa, Sacred Pentagraph, Gala are very unique in some ways. Obviously, there are some pieces that are relatable
Yeah.
to other things out there, but it's definitely has a unique flair to it that is different.
Absolutely. And definitely something for every occasion and every kind of, like if you're solo or the Chamber of Hecate in the Book of Shadows, if there's three of you, and then the
Yeah.
Sacred Pentagraph, it's just, it's like turnkey. If you have the book, you can just start practicing, you and your friends,
Yes.
and it's really cool. And it was when I heard that um, there was a group with your covens practicing, I was just really super impressed because it's really it's unique. It really is.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. And it's taken off, and it has quite an interest in following to it. We don't get in our coven a lot of people who are brand new.
Uh-huh.
We seem to get or at least our coven here in PA seems to attract a lot of folks who have been doing something for 20 years
Uh-huh.
and have decided that they're searching for more.
Yeah.
And that seems to be like the people who are most attracted to us. We don't seem to get a lot of new folks. Now, I don't know, that may just be um, how every coven seems to have a spiritual or astral counterpart behind them,
Hmm.
that might just be what our spiritual or astral counterpart of our coven attracts. Because in Lancaster, there is another coven that it hived from ours as well. And they seem to be able to bring in folks who are newer to the
Oh,
craft,
interesting.
that are just starting. They're doing the same system, but they seem to attract newer folks rather than folks that have been studying for 20 years. So, as we were saying earlier, even in the same tradition, covens can be vastly different in terms of feel and focus
Right.
and who is attracted to that particular group. And you see that across the board. You even see that, for example, in Gala.
Hmm.
All the covens, like for example, in that, they're practicing the same rituals, they have the same feel, but not only is the aesthetic different from coven to coven, but also the feel is different, because we believe that Wicca itself is not an ethnic religion,
Right.
not centered, it's not Celtic, it's not Norse, it's not Egyptian, it's not Mesoamerican. Like, it's the 52 flavors. At one point, like, there'd be like these books that came out that, like, this is Norse Wicca and this is
Yeah.
this Wicca. And
Yeah. Yeah.
no, we don't believe that there is an ethnic part of our religion. We believe that it is connected to what, like, the Theosophical Society used to describe as part of the ancient wisdom religions, that within some of those religions that exist, that there are pieces that are common throughout. So, like, the practice of magic is one of those pieces. The belief in, like, a supreme being or universal power or a universal life force is one of
Yeah.
those. The idea of reincarnation, is one of those that connects to that. And some of these things can be found worldwide.
Right.
So we don't necessarily worry about giving ethnic identity to how we see the great mother goddess and the god, because we believe that witches are found in all cultures. They're found in all races, and they're found in all ethnic identities and sexual orientations.
Hmm.
And it was one of the things that in the book one of Sacred Pentagraph, the Covenant, talks about, that becoming an initiate does not preclude you, no matter what your um, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, or previous religious experience. It
Right.
was very important back in those days to be able to state that, because you had people who were interested from all different races and cultures. Like
Sure.
Charmaine Day, I mean, her real Monday name was June Day. She was born on a native reservation.
Hmm.
You had people who were gay, lesbian, who were interested at the time. And Sybil really helped as well break down the door on that. Like in her book, Complete Art of Witchcraft, she wrote a whole chapter about, called The Place of the Homosexual in Witchcraft.
Yeah.
And that was kind of controversial at the time.
Sure.
It's not perfect by today's standards, because by today's standards, we have a very different vocabulary.
Right.
Um, she called everything in that book, for example, the third sex. Um, but to be able to describe the differences of somebody who was LGBTQIA plus. But now today we have an even greater understanding of gender identity,
Right.
trans identity,
Hmm.
gender nonconforming, and these are new words and lingo that a new understanding that we're evolving as the human race to be able to understand that it's not so binary as it
Right.
once was. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to be able to see people be able to express their gender identity, find their true selves in what they were.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely a new lingo. In reality, the first time I had learned about gender non-conforming and in various forms of gender identity is by attending PantheaCon in California when that
Uh-huh.
was still going on. I flew out to PantheaCon this one year, and they handed me my name badge for entrance, and they said, "In this space here, you're going to write in your pronouns."
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? Like
Right.
they how you identify? Because I mean, I grew up in the country here in Pennsylvania, living in suburbia. Like, the lingo hadn't quite fully integrated yet.
Right.
It was forthcoming. I said, well, what do you mean? And they explained it to me. And I was like, oh, okay, I get that now. I get
Right.
that. But, we're all coming to terms to being able to understand. And I wouldn't be surprised 5 years from now that we don't have new terminology
Sure.
to be able to understand and, help people find what their gender identity or no identity will be. And
Right.
I think it's awesome. But I have to thank PantheaCon in California for introducing it to me
Yeah.
and teaching it to me, because it hadn't quite came to Pennsylvania yet.
Right.
And there's lingo. But I was glad that I finally got to know it and be able to do it. And now in most workplaces now in Pennsylvania today, you'll see people write on their email signatures what their gender pronouns are.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's amazing to be able to do that, and be able to allow people to do that. Even though I'm just a very boring he, him, and his,
Mhm.
it's very awesome that we've come to that place of acceptance of other people. And that's something that Wicca has been coming to for a long time as
Yeah.
well.
I think
So it's
it's
truly
well,
awesome.
I should say we think it's part of our job to strive. I mean, no person, no group might be perfect, but to strive to be more inclusive and not only accept but to support people who uh, are not the same as us, no matter
Yeah.
in what way. It doesn't matter. But the because the past, it's it's so ugly. It was so ugly when people being excluded because they were gay. It, it's just so it was so ugly, and
Yeah.
the people that and I do try to tell some of our younger members too. Like, bear with us. We thought we were progressive. We think we're progressive. We're trying to be progressive, but even you, in a generation or so, won't be considered necessarily progressive by the generation after you. But we're
Yes.
trying. We're really striving.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Most definitely. We're very lucky to be all us and you guys as well, be fortunate enough to be people that are, you know, just decent human beings to
Yeah.
be able to try. Like
Yeah.
we want to try. We aspire to be always accepting and inclusive in all ways. And I'm very thankful for the fact that our elders were very much here. even back in that time period, were very progressive.
Absolutely.
For their time period.
Yeah.
And today, um, our groups are definitely diverse,
Yeah.
in multiple ways, diversity in many multiple ways. It's not just a space of one type of person, it's a space of very different types of people. And I think that is a beautiful thing, that when you're inclusive enough, that people who are different than you will find those common grounds, and that we can uplift the voices that wish to be more public within those spaces, to be able to give everybody their space,
Yeah.
and being able to find not just equality but equity,
Yes.
in things. So we've come a long way, but yes, you're absolutely right. Like, we're sitting here recording this now in 2021, but probably just in a period of 5 years from now, our understandings are going to be vastly different, maybe.
Yeah. For sure.
And we're going to be going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said this thing.
Right.
And it's like, so anybody in the future who's hearing that, like, we promise you that we will be different people in 5 years from now when you're hearing this.
Yep.
And we, are trying to evolve in our own understanding of inclusivity and equity.
Yeah. And groups are so much better too when they're diverse and when
Yeah,
they're inclusive. They're, Casey talks about in Garden Green the special place of the gay male in the spectrum of magical energy, uh, and it's so it's really all inspiring when you have a group of people who have such very different energies just within them and know how to work with them. It makes everything you do more powerful, whether it's a celebratory Sabbath ritual or a working ritual on a moon or something. And to
yeah,
somehow think that your group would be better if it was, all of one kind of people, it's just, I don't understand it, but the, you know, if this, if this age will inspire more of those groups to become more inclusive, that would be a great thing, I think, for everybody, the gods included. Why limit who worships the gods or works with the gods, works with
right.
nature? Why try to limit that? I never understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand that either at all. Because nobody has the right to be able to prevent you from your own version of prayer, your own version of approaching deity.
Yeah,
Nobody can stop you from adopting a particular religious belief, or a particular religious path itself. Um, so you can be a solitary practitioner, and be able to do the things that you wish to do and be successful at it, or you can be initiated and be part of a group. um I obviously, from personal experience, working originally for many years solitary until I entered college, when I was able to become initiated, definitely prefer that I am part of a coven.
yeah,
I think that has been more fulfilling than me working solitary, but other people may have personal reasons why they may wish to be solitary or eclectic. And finding what that path is for each individual person is,
yeah,
very, very important. And I've learned so much from people who are different than myself. Like, I have a very strong philosophy for myself that I'm not your teacher. you know, you can call me your teacher if you like, but I will never call you my student.
Yeah,
I will never call you my initiate, because I consider everybody that is in the group, even folks that I have initiated, as equal to me. They are
yeah,
no better, and I'm no better or less than anybody else. I still am a person. Nobody needs to respect my authority at all times, of any sense. I will never treat anybody like that, because in reality, those people that you have initiated, they also become your teachers as well.
oh, sure.
And I've learned so much back through people who I've either initiated, that they went on to initiate, that person went on to initiate, like, 4 generations down of initiates,
Right.
that come back and teach you so many things, that those people aren't, I'm not like, their authority, because I'm learning just as much back from them as they're learning from me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I open the door, and they walk through it. And because they walk through it, there is this mutual exchange where, yes, you respect, I know, I understand, you respect me as your teacher, your mentor, your initiator, but like, I am learning just as much back from you as they are learning from me. And I think that is a very healthy relationship to be in. Like, we don't need any more lords of the manor. Like the Lord of the Manor mentality, where people kiss a ring. And I mean, those days are long gone. We can show various levels of respect, but respect does not, and respect and service does not always mean um, somebody has supreme authority over you or anything.
Right. And that's one of the things that I hear about from people who are dedicated to solitary practice, which is cool. One of the, we're not gatekeepers in any way. If you want to be a witch, be a Wiccan, refer to yourself as that, we totally get it and totally support it. And we'll refer to you however you want to, if you say you're a witch, well, cool, we accept you as a witch and all that stuff. But one of the things that, um, as far as initiation goes, we try to tell people, look, your initiation is kind of like a party and you're the guest of honor. Or if you think about it in the spellcraft, because, we're kind of a candle shop tradition, um, you will, clean and dress a candle. Uh, you can look at yourself kind of as the candle, and the coven or your initiator is, putting that magical ritual into you. I mean, however you want to look at it. But nobody, as far as teaching you how your coven or initiatory group does things, other than that, they're really not telling you what to do, how to
Oh,
live.
right.
This is how we do things, But when you go home, you're home. It's your life.
Oh, most definitely. And even if they join a coven or tradition, sometimes their experience, within that, is going to be different than the person standing next to them.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, we all come, we're all born with certain skills, just because I'm a tall person doesn't mean I'm tall enough to be a basketball player. We all have like our natural born abilities, and some
Yeah,
people start at various places. Some people start with almost an innate psychic ability to be able to basically hit a home run from the beginning. Some
yeah,
people start at a place where they have to really heavily work for it.
yeah,
And no starting position is a greater than the other. Because at
Right.
the end of the day, if we believe in reincarnation, we all had to start somewhere. You know, just there is no somebody in the lead, like who's on first, who's on second. Like there is no somebody in the lead. And
Yeah.
within that space, like one person may have a very different description and experience of what they are going through. To quote Edna again here from Pennsylvania, in one of her articles that she had written, she had said, um, when the coven gathers to worship, they hold in mind the creative force. They carry on the old traditions, but with eyes open to what really is. I cannot even begin to describe what comes over me when I invoke the Great Mother. It is heat and light and exaltation. It is something that one of my coven will experience when she takes over my job. It is perhaps, as Sybil Leek so aptly put it, a recharging of my battery.
Yeah.
Now, her wording, her experiences, may be very different than what another priestess or priest describes when they are in contact with the life force and with deity. But there is a commonality that, or an unspoken thing, like we talked about earlier. How do you describe the taste of coffee if you've never had it, or chocolate if you've never tried it?
Yeah.
um, so, but there's this unspoken connection between people. One of the things that my high priestess used to say here was, witches will always know other witches. And how she saw it was by the look in their eyes. There was
Uh-huh.
something different about their eyes that marked an initiate or a witch
Yeah.
as different than the everyday. Some people just feel it on their skin when they're in the presence. And I can't tell you how many times I've been places where I'm sitting next to somebody talking to them, and I know that they're into something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can just almost feel it on your skin. You can smell it. Their eyes will look different. You look into the eyes of an initiate, their eyes like appear differently. The
Yeah.
aura about them is different. They exude something different. There's a smell test, and you can tell you can tell um who is an adept in the practice, or has at least connected in some way.
Yeah.
You could go through an initiation and not have a connection.
Right.
But, and maybe those are the folks that you might not be able to tell. But for the folks that have that connection, you can feel it coming out of their aura. You can see it in their eyes. There is something different about them.
There's definitely an energy about occult, magic-y, witchy people that not only like it's almost like fairy time. You might be with them for a half. It might feel like a half hour, but 2 hours have been spent. And then when you finally go your separate ways or something, it's like you're buzzing with energy,
Yes.
And hopefully it's not late at night because then you can't sleep.
Yes, that happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that totally happens. And you keep going. That's why it's very common here when we get together for rituals that everybody is up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Yep.
Afterwards, because a lot of times you can't sleep
Yeah.
because you are so charged, especially after a Sabbath ritual. Like
Yeah.
I'm somebody like for on the weekends, when it's on the weekend, I love to stay up late at night. When it's
Sure.
not a weekday, I love to stay up late at night and do my thing. And that's when I feel very active when it comes to my religion, is being up later at night. And when you're up that late, that usually means you're going to sleep till about noon the next day, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to a Sabbath, um, and I feel that recharging of my batteries, I may have been up till 5 a.m., but like my eyes are wide open at 8 a.m. And it is such a funny feeling because literally like I'm all juiced up, like I'm ready to carry myself forward into the next season, into that
Yeah.
next seasonal cycle, like um that comes about, whether it's springtime and it's time to plant our seed thoughts, whether it's summer and I need to cultivate and nurture things in my life and purify, whether it's autumn and I'm reaping what I've harvested, or autumn when I'm getting, or I mean winter when I'm getting rid of the things that either I failed at, or I no longer serves me, or no longer needs to be something that's part of my life. Um, those things carry us through to that next cycle. Um, and when that next cycle comes up, you really feel it. Like it's like, oh yeah, I am ready for Sabbath.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, how are you doing on time? I feel like I've kept you a long time, and I know you've got something to do. Do we need to have our final thoughts?
Sure, that sounds great. Yeah, final thoughts sound great.
So, um, I already asked you about the near future and things like that. If you had some aspiration for your traditions and maybe for the craft as a whole, what would they be moving forward?
Sure. The first things that I'd like to see more of is kindness and compassion in the craft. I think, and it's something that I had talked to Terra Star about one time. I asked him, like, what do you see in a high priest or high priestess, like, or a priest X? Like, what do you see? And having that kindness and compassion is something very important. It doesn't mean that everybody needs to get together under one umbrella and sing kumbaya together, right? We can still be autonomous, but still be kind.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of folks out there that sometimes revel in unkind words to each other for all sorts of various reasons. And probably a lot of it is because everybody goes through their own particular struggles. Not everybody's struggles are the same. You can have all the money in the world and not be happy. You can have um, a lot of things in your life very fulfilled, but not have fulfillment. And there's a lot of people who, you know, especially at this time, are going through so many different things. It doesn't, and sometimes when people are behind the keyboard, they say unkind things that are not conducive to their own development or the development of others. So the first things I would like to see is a continuation towards more kindness and compassion to seekers, to new people, and to our elders themselves. Um, that's where I would love to see the craft go. I
that's
think,
awesome. That,
I think,
maybe before we end, we could talk about how people can find you and your traditions, and different websites and stuff like that.
yes, definitely. You can find our blog that of activities that our coven are up to in both Horsa and Sacred Pentagraph at Coven of the Woofa with an A on the end .wordpress.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Sacred Pentagraph or at Horsa Tradition, or on Facebook. Gala also has a website that the Gala Witches run, which is galawitchcraft.com. And I think I think that's all our contact information. You can contact us there if folks would like to. And
And
also Tara Star has his website,
right,
uh, witchworld109.com, that you can read a little bit more about him, or check out some of the books that he's written as well. He's written a number of books. Casey Giovinco, who has written a number of books. Charmaine Day has had a few books out there. So there's a lot of folks that are writing, are continuing, and we'd love to hear from you. You know, you can just come in and say hi. You don't have to, you know, do what we're doing or even join our tradition. We just love hearing from people and sharing in that kindness and compassion for the world, and looking at ways to achieve harmony in the world with each other and with ourselves. So reach out if you like.
and your covener, one of your coveners or some of your coveners have a metaphysical shop.
Oh, yes. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention that. Yes. Two initiates that are part of our group have an occult store that they own as well, called Moonraven Alley. They have a website, moonravenalley.com, and you can also find them on Facebook if you want to know their hours. It is located in Lancaster County in the town of Mount Joy. It is inside this really cool old movie theater. It's probably so, like, you know, like how you have lights and everything in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Um, the front of their store is in neon blue lights. It's
awesome.
really fun. It's really fun. It's actually a pretty large size store. Um, they are looking at expanding as well. They're already probably the largest in size,
Oh, that's
in
awesome.
physical space in Pennsylvania.
Nice.
They, in non-COVID times, they do host a number of classes and workshops. Um, Obviously, in COVID times, the workshops aren't happening,
Yeah,
but you can still come into the store to shop. The store is actually doing pretty well, considering it's COVID times and there's no classes.
yeah.
But it's doing phenomenal. They are wonderful ladies, wonderful business women who love what they do. They love the craft. It's not their only source of income, but they do this because they love it. They love the craft, and they want to be in the lives of other people. And they've done a number of things. A number of them have been on Comcast television to talk.
Wow.
They, you know, and talk about their rituals, and talk about their paths as witches. They are very, very public. So they are great public faces, and wonderful, wonderful women who enjoy the craft and enjoy what they do. And they're always having something brand new at the store because they sell out of things faster than they can stock them right now.
Excellent.
So every time I walk in, I'm seeing something new and fun
That's great.
to witness and see. Um, every once in a while, they talk me into doing a lecture or a workshop, and
Nice.
I love doing them with people,
Yeah.
and being able to talk to people and communicate. I was really looking forward to a workshop that Phyllis Carrot was going to do there in November, but of course that had to be rescheduled because of
Yeah.
COVID. So I don't know when workshops and classes like at the store will happen again,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they will let us know on Facebook. You'll probably find out when I find out on
Okay.
Facebook or Instagram, but moonravenalley.com is their store. So ever in Lancaster County, check them out.
That's so cool. Mount Joy. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe we can end with probably the most important question. What is your favorite flavor of tasty cakes?
Favorite flavor of tasty cakes?
because you know those
Oh,
are
yeah.
only now appearing in Las Vegas. I've been out
Oh
here
my gosh.
30 years, and they're only now really starting to show up in Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh. Pennsylvania is the junk food capital of the world. We make more junk food than anybody. It's also good and tasty though, but yes, I don't remember what they're called, but they're covered in chocolate and there's like a layer of cake and peanut butter on top of it. And then that whole thing is covered in chocolate. I have no idea what they're called.
Isn't it
It's
candy
been
cakes? Both with
it
a K? Candy cakes?
it might be. It's been a long time since I've had a tasty cake or a lot of junk food. But it's so tasty and so good. There's a reason it's called tasty cakes because
For sure.
they are phenomenal. I'm so glad they finally reached Las Vegas for you.
Yes, I used to search for them, and really only even trying to find a cheesesteak out here was pretty difficult for a while. And
Yes.
the cheesesteak joints, Pops and Straight Out of Philly, were some of the only places that had tasty cakes.
Yeah. Yes. Like tasty cakes, cheesesteaks, tomato pie. You remember tomato pie?
Oh, I don't know about tomato pie, but rhubarb pie and shoe fly pie.
Yes, rhubarb and shoe fly pie is amazing. If you ever come to a Pennsylvania and you want to try something that you won't find anywhere else, ask for a slice of wet bottom shoe fly pie.
Oh man, oh, good
Um,
stuff.
it is such good stuff, but things that you don't find. Yeah, rhubarb's another one. You don't see that everywhere as
Um,
well. Um, but yeah, every place has like its local colloquial type of um, things. But yeah,
yeah,
Pennsylvania has quite a few different things like that.
for sure.
That's funny. I haven't thought about tasty cakes in so long. Now I'm going to have to buy one this week.
Well, I could say I'm sorry, or I could say you're welcome. I mean, either
No, say you're welcome. It'll be a wonderful treat. It'll be a wonderful, wonderful treat.
well, it's nice segue. It has been a real treat to talk to you, and thank you for spending so much time with me this morning. And it's been great and super informative. I love hearing about the personalities and the history, but mostly talking about you and how you got here and what you're up to. It's been great.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I always look forward to the things that you guys are always doing at Inner Circle Sanctuary. It's always wonderful to see,
Thank you.
and being able to have such a fun connection with you guys, like from a
Yeah,
distance.
yeah, it is cool. It when we were first texting back and forth, it was like, oh my gosh.
I know, because like we're from like a similar area, the same area basically,
Yeah,
and and your travels took you to Las Vegas, only to be like have like a friend here that connects you back now.
right, right. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Many strange and wonderful things in the world of Wicca. It's wonderful. I look
Absolutely.
forward to new things every day.
Yep, for sure. Well, thank you very much, Thorn Nightwind, and I'm already checking out your sites and stuff. So hopefully everybody will check out uh, Thorn's Sacred Pentagraph Tradition, Horsa Tradition, Gala Tradition, and the various books that Thorn talked about by Tarot Star, Charmaine Day, Casey Giovinco, all great stuff. So thanks again, Thorn Nightwind, and blessed be.
Blessed be.